something that I want, maybe need to say today that I have not figured out how to say cleanly yet. So I'm going to say it the way that it actually sits with me, which is pretty rough. Most of the things that I've written about over the last several years are things that I've known for a long time, especially before I wrote about them. And it wasn't theoretical or just philosophical ideas. These were things that I had already clearly felt. The pattern that I described in the blog this week, where I had been creating a dependency in a different form than the one that I had taught against, wasn't a discovery I made when Tim made the decision that he made. It was a recognition. See, I had known that something was off about how I was working for years before that. I just hadn't let myself look at it directly because we were doing good work. That's the part that I want to talk about today because I think that's the part that most of us actually miss. The leaders that I work with, the leaders that are watching this, the leader that I was for a long time, we don't actually have a knowledge problem. It sounds a little arrogant, but stick with me. What we actually have is a willingness problem. We already know what's off in our business. We can feel it, and we can even name it if we get pressed hard enough. The thing we've not done is look at it long enough to let it become something that we have to do something about. You got to be careful here because I don't want to make this sound overly simple. It's not simple. The reason we don't look at what we already know is not because we're weak or avoidant. It's because what we already know is usually attached to something that we've built our identity on. Looking at it directly means putting that part of our identity at risk. And my friends, that is hard. It's hard for me. It was hard for me with the consulting model that I had been running because the model had paid for my family's life for a really long time. And I had told myself that it was the work that I was meant to be doing. And at the time, maybe it was. I'm telling you all this because the same is probably true for you in your own very specific way. You already know what's off in your business. You've been carrying it for a while. You've probably named it once or twice to your spouse or yourself in the truck, and then you put it back down because looking at it directly would mean having to do something about it. The doing is the part that you've been working around. This is the gap that I've been thinking about a whole lot lately. It's the gap between what we already know and what we're willing to do with what we already know. Most of the leadership development industry sells closing the knowledge gap. Kind of like more frameworks and more information are actually going to solve the problem. But the knowledge gap is not really the problem. The willingness gap is the problem. The leaders who can close the willingness gap are the leaders who actually evolve. The leader who keeps trying to close the knowledge gap is just acquiring more reasons to feel bad about not doing what they already know they need to do. Next week, I'm going to write about something that I've started calling the ceiling that you cannot see. It's really closely related to what I'm talking about today, but it goes after a little bit of a different question. Today's question is about the gap between knowing and doing. Next week's question is about what you're not yet able to see, even when you're looking sometimes right at it. There's a layer underneath what you already know, and it's the layer that most leaders never get to because they stop at the first ceiling instead of recognizing it as the start of the climb, not the end. Now, I'm bringing it up now because I think that those two pieces really belong together. And if you're sitting with what you already know and you're starting to wonder why you haven't done something about it, that is one kind of work. The work next week is for the leader who has done something about what he already knows and has started to suspect there's more underneath that he has not yet been willing to see. Now, the work that I've built for leaders who are ready to start doing something about what they already know is called Leaders Evolution. It's the place where empowerment design gets practiced in a leader's actual business at their own pace, alongside other leaders who are doing the exact same kind of work. Now, I'm not going to make a case for it today any more than I already have. The case is being made by every leader inside of it who is changing in real time. And I'm so grateful for them. And it's fun to watch them. If you're curious, the door is open. If you're not yet ready, it's totally fine too, because the work waits. Here's what I want to leave you with today. It's a question that I had to sit with before I did anything about my own pattern. And it's a question that I think most of us need to sit with at some point if we're going to change. The question is not what's wrong with my business. The question is not what's wrong with my team. Here's what it is. What do I already know about myself that I've been working around for way too long? The answer to that question is where the work actually starts. Whatever you already know, it's not going to stop being true just because you keep moving past it. It's going to keep waiting. The only question left is when you're going to turn around and start looking at it directly.